Man, oh man. Hey, it is August 10th, 2018. This is Warcraft Weekly, and today's episode is brought to you by you. You folks at home and on the toilet have made it so much fun for me to cover this alpha and beta of the past two expansions. This is going to be the second one that I'm covering, and I just want to express my gratitude for all of your support and your comments, your criticism and your input. All that stuff has helped. It's been a hell of a ride covering all this stuff, and the ride's pretty much over. It's time to just dive right in and get to playing in just a couple days. Behind me, as you can see, is it better not be a spoiler anymore. We're looking at the aftermath of the battle for Lordaeron. The battle that, at least in my opinion, could have been won by the Horde if it wasn't for one super powered person. I'm back here in the safety of the ruins of Brill while Bob is over there taking a little bit close. Oh my god, dude, what's going on?
You told me to take a closer look.
Dude, I did not tell you to go inside. Like, are you okay?
Well, I'm as okay as I was in Teldrassil. Fire, poison, whatever. But the food here kind of sucks.
Yeah, I imagine. So today's weekly is going to be oh so slightly different. I'm going to cover what little bits of news that we have left of this week, including some hot fixes and upcoming changes, as well as covering just what happened in the battle for Lordaeron. There's also a great interview that Scott Johnson did with Mr. Chris Metzen. But first and foremost is what I had first mentioned. The battle for Azeroth is coming next week. For those of you who've asked, and the ones that are too shy to ask, and the ones that really couldn't care less, but too bad, I am going to be covering the launch. I will be streaming at 2 p.m. Pacific time, so 1 hour before launch. I'll be doing this from Twitch, and I'll have a link or something below for you to follow. And as a good news / bad news reminder, I will be moving the entire stream operation over to Twitch. Morning shows, raids, that sort of stuff. It's all going to be going over there until at least the end of the year. So I do apologize for those of you who prefer watching me over on YouTube or otherwise are unable to watch Twitch during the whole time slot. But of course, the bread and butter of what I do is going to be right here over on YouTube making cool videos. I think they're cool videos.
They're okay.
Well, cool videos for you. Apart from Twitch, you could also join me on my Horde community. Just click on the link somewhere below, join it, and I'll see you then. In the meantime, throughout today's weekly, I am going to annoy you with little bits of tips and tricks to help you survive an expansion launch. For those of you who might have not experienced what it is to really be a part of a World of Warcraft expansion launch party. One extremely pleasant surprise is that Blizzard announced that they're going to do a third round of ticket sales for Blizzcon. This, for me, is a blessing. I was barely able to get any tickets for Blizzcon this year. I'm super upset about it. All my friends, they weren't able to get tickets, and I'm trying to get them and having a hard time. So having this third round has me nervous, excited. I mean, this is it. This is going to be our last chance to get these tickets. The third round of tickets will be available as usual on the Universe website on August 19th, 2018.
No, he means August 18th on the Saturday at 10 a.m. Don't be a jerk.
August 18th, 2018, 10 a.m. Just let me get tickets first. Tip number 1 for getting through a WoW expansion launch, be there. It's actually a teeny bit harder than you think. The Battle for Azeroth expansion is going to launch worldwide at the same freaking time. There's a handy dandy map right up there, and depending on where you're at, take a look. You might be starting your experience in Kulturas or Zandalar a little bit earlier, or a little bit later, or right on time, France. So using myself as an example, the expansion is going to start at 3 p.m. On a Monday, so be there. Hopefully you knew this in advance and you had scheduled time off of work so you can experience all that there is to, it might be like a total cluster, but you know what? Be there. If you didn't take time off in advance, let's call out sick, whatever.
Wait, what?
You can take 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days of personal time so you can get as much gear as you can. I mean, chances are reasonably good that your boss won't know about it.
Or that they will know about it, and they're stuck at work covering for you knowing that you're at home playing games.
Well, then I guess the most ideal solution is to just do what I do. just don't work. Yes, you too can adopt a new lifestyle and become a full-time YouTube and streaming person, and you can be just as successful as me. Yo, yeah. It'd be a great idea. I mean, what can go wrong covering a 14-year-old game in a super saturated space? One of the more controversial changes that went down this week is a nerf to the group finder. Group leaders may have noticed that they're no longer able to check the auto accept button on that UI. The auto accept button is what allows you as a person trying to join, let's say, like a world boss world quest, to easily sign up and get an instant invite. So that little feature is now gone, except for like maybe an add-on that might break at any time. But in other words, group leaders are now going to have to manually invite everyone that signs up for their raids, or whatever the heck group content that they want to do.
Removal of auto-accept functionality of the group finder intentional. I will 100% unsub if this change is permanent.
See you Tuesday.
Seems in line with make everything take longer and make people do stuff more frequently for the same result that Blizzard seems to be pushing lately.
Blizz, if I want a group up to take longer, I would unsub and do classic. I don't give a damn about experiencing the content after I experienced it 1,000 times already.
Destroying the ability to use WitGIF is up there with no more flying ever. Breathtakingly pointless, stupid, divisive, and idiotic. Looks like someone had the #$% Wit crew from WAD, or was it Ian all along?
I object to this change, and as a customer, demand to see more evidence as to why and how it caused problems.
What's next? Hype is dying here.
Oh nice, more changes nobody asked for.
But why? Wah.
I think I like this. While some people are saying this is an MMO, it seems like a really false multiplayer experience if you auto-join a group, kill a world boss or a few mobs in seconds, don't talk to anyone, and leave. They might as well be bots.
In my opinion, while there is certain merit to Blizzard trying to promote more healthy relationships between players and trying to get rid of otherwise automated, very quick sessions of gameplay as in world quests, I think this is a step too far in that direction, and that instead Blizzard should be implementing a more robust of a group creation tool instead. So here's what I mean by that, because after listening to myself just now, I have no idea what I was saying. I totally understand the pushback from players who are against this kind of change. Many of these critics have multiple alts, or otherwise just find world quests to be boring. They want to get through them quick. Teaming up with a buddy or 4 is a great way of doing that. But I also understand the anti-automation sentiment. Automation, at least in this case, with a short burst of content like world quests, it turns that sort of experience into a, kind of a one-button press where you have the faceless pugs join you temporarily. It could be only minutes, and then you're gone. From there, it's less of a social thing than it is just I'm just trying to get to the end of the objective sort of thing. And I think that there needs to be a certain balance to that in a case-by-case scenario. The best example that comes to mind, world bosses. World bosses need more than just a small handful of people, and early in the Battle for Azeroth expansion, you're probably going to care about certain things like, oh yeah, I need a healer, haha. I think it would be really cool if, let's say, you fly within a vicinity of a world boss, and otherwise the world boss world quest pops into your UI. A little prompt appears that says, hey, you're within the vicinity of this world boss, would you like to join a group? If you say yes, it'll put you in queue and automatically set you up. It would be as if you were signing up for LFR or LFD, except in this case, you're outdoors. Between the queue system and phasing and sharding, I think that's something that can work, but it just takes time to develop something like that. In the meantime, I speculate that Blizzard just broke this automation for the sake of, I don't know, really. But if I was someone who didn't enjoy solo content, and since I'm a tank and I just do most everything myself anyway, chances are what I'll try to do in the meantime is see if I can find a community either within my realm, or if I can just find something out there because I can't search for a freaking community. I would try to find something where I can find a big pool of people who are just looking to knock out a bunch of world quests and hang out with them. I can see that as a great increase to the social aspect of WoW. You're not just, you are temporarily teaming up with these people, but you're teaming up with them longer for than just a minute. Ideally, though, I would like to see a more refined version of, or just a better vision, a response from Ian or from someone at Blizzard to just talk about what it is that they intend with some of these group finder changes, and what's their long-term strategy. The next tip for a WoW expansion launch: stay nourished.
Oh dude, this is all me. Make sure you're stocked up with a heck of snacks like donuts and soda and all sorts of fun stuff. Stuff yourself silly because you're going to be at it for a long time.
No. You don't necessarily want to go the super heavy snack and sweets route, because that's going to make you tired over the long term. Since I'm starting at 3, I'm still gonna have dinner. You might see me on stream stuffing my face with chicken and some vegetable, but you know what? Deal with it. From there, I'm gonna kind of limit my carb and sugar intake with things like almonds, maybe some fruits, yogurt, and stuff like that. Like, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm not young. I definitely gotta take care of my body. Some of you, though, are just fine, and you can eat whatever the heck you want. And among those few of you, you might not want to worry about silly distractions like chewing. Now, while I do recommend water being the drink of choice during your whole expansion marathon, Soylent is a great / questionable product that you can ingest. One little bottle has 400 calories and the absolute minimum amount of nutrition to make sure that you don't die. So what this all sums up to is eat well if you can, otherwise at least eat and definitely hydrate. Blizzard made an announcement recently regarding Warfronts and how they're going to play out at the very beginning of the expansion. It turns out that Warfronts are not going to immediately unlock, although there's no indication on whether or not it's going to be before or after Uldir, the first raid of the Battle for Azeroth expansion, opens. At any rate, what's going to happen is that Warfronts will be available first for the Alliance. Yay. Alliance players will be able to venture to Arathi, presumably from Borealis, and participate in world boss, fun stuff, and activities. Meanwhile, the Horde are going to be gathering stuff up, turning in all sorts of items and trade goods to fill up a big old bar that's region-wide. And once that bar is filled up, they will now have access to the Warfront. It's a give and take. Alliance are going to get access to that sweet Warfront gear and rewards first. Meanwhile, Horde players, if they choose to at least, can participate in that whole resource gathering game and otherwise get a whole ton of extra reputation. Feeling outraged? Don't worry, it's totally not going to matter after like a week or two.
This week, the mini-novels Elegy and A Good War were made available, and Soul finally stopped whining about other people getting stuff before him.
Hey.
Haha, we reacted to this, and I can non-sarcastically say that our channel community has been pretty good about handling this. So let's check out some other commenters who were consumed by bloodlust.
Unfortunate the Night Elf lore is in this book and not actually presented in the pre-patch event.
I won't read it. Just can't. I really hate the lore, and it makes me uncomfortable. It even haunts me in my dreamy and makes me cry since a few days.
I heard of people getting upset in the past because things didn't follow their headcanon, but these last few weeks have been absolutely ridiculous.
Why people even bother harassing the writers? If you have a problem with the storytelling, just quit the game. It's a simple solution.
He should mind his stern language, because he would be worthless nothing without nerd community. Do not bite the hand that feeds you.
So I lumped in a couple of Wowhead comments that talked about the Elegy and A Good War release, as well as a very recent interview that was done between Scott Johnson and world-famous dude, Chris Metzen. Chris and Scott talked a lot about the toxicity that has come out not just from World of Warcraft the game, or the expansion, or the books, or the cinematics, but the entertainment industry in general. It's a very, very good listen. It's an hour long, and it's not just about the toxicity. Like I said, it's about the industry. It's about Chris personally and how he's been doing, like the things that he's been up to. And for those of you who are interested in what he's been doing or has not been doing, have a listen. I listened to the whole thing. It was great. There are a few gems that I picked up from it, and I'm going to paraphrase a couple of these things. But remember, this is Scott and Chris talking. They talk some specifics, like specific to Sylvanas and some of the cinematics. There's some cool little factoids. One notable thing, the Battle for Azeroth opening cinematic where you see Anduin Wrynn doing his whole crazy battle res thing. That was something that was discussed, and Chris was present for that 2 years ago. So that gives you a small idea of how they storyboard things pretty far in advance. They talked a little bit about false ownership as a fan, and how that false ownership creates an expectation from folks like us where if we see a certain development in the game that we don't like, then we'll in many ways attack the person or the people that we identify as the ones who initiated that change. Because certain faces like Ian Hezekostas or Christy Golden, since they're visible and they have names, we look at them and we direct our hatred in that direction. Chris said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that while these types of people, there are few of them and it's kind of a fringe, that these kinds of people have no respect for the artist, and that they just want to have things go their way. It's like having that expectation that the Alliance is this monolith of honor and goodness, that everyone there has their own little divine bell attached to them, that they can do no wrong. And he also echoed a phrase that's often shared by people that try to fight back against this negativity, that if you don't like it, just stop buying it. Stop playing the game, move on to something else. There's a deeper meaning behind that, and there's a reason why I never say that to folks who aren't happy about the state of the game and that sort of thing, is that instead of directly telling someone, hey, just quit and go away, is to not feed into your own negativity. Like, if you're not happy with the gameplay or the story, why are you still playing and making yourself even more mad, and again directing your hate to the people that you think are in charge of this thing, when you could just kind of turn around and walk away from it instead? Another very cool thing that Chris talked about is that if there are 10,000 people that are mad about a certain something, about the game or a movie or whatever, that from that, there are 10,000 different opinions on how things should be instead. Maybe some of them are very similar, maybe some of them are wildly different approaches to gameplay and story. But as a writer or a designer or a developer, especially in the context of the World of Warcraft, what direction are you supposed to take? Is everyone going to be happy if they go with your route? No. I'd love to, and I try to tell folks that if you're mad at something about the World of Warcraft, keep it in the context of the narrative, which is also something that they say here. So again, listen to it. It's a very good one. What I mean by that is, like, if Sylvanas is committing these terrible acts and acting like a heel, then get mad at her, not at the writers who are painting her that way at the moment, because in the whole context of everything that we've been experiencing so far up until now, this whole battle for Azeroth, like, expansion intro thing, we haven't even started yet. Just about everything that we've been seeing so far has been lead up. The actual substance and data mined information that we've seen so far has been so sparse that we can't come to any sort of conclusion at this point. The World of Warcraft is an ongoing game. It's not a movie that has a beginning and an end that is compressed into like 90 minutes or so of your time. It's not a book that's carefully crafted from page 1 to page last. It's a game, a patchable game with the expectation that every day that there's something new to do and explore and discover. So I find that the expectation of delivery is unreasonably high. Attacking the story as it is right now is what it is. It's just attacking the story as it is right now. I can go back and dissect the entire Legion storyline and give my thoughts and opinions on it, and I can do that because now everything's been laid out. With Battle for Azeroth, we have like a tattered map and whispers of possible things to come. And finally, from this interview, Chris talked about just how damaging this is to the entertainment industry to have a fandom that's fervent but really toxic at the same time. These certain fringe people that call themselves fans, they risk with their vitriol, they risk making artists and writers and designers afraid to become a part of this industry. I actually don't think it's entirely okay for fans to demand that certain things go their way. I can't think of a movie or a game or anything like that that is entirely crowdsourced. With so many opinions pulling everything in all sorts of directions, there's a reason why we put faith in these individual artists and designers and writers and creators. It's a simple hope that they deliver on something good. And coming back to the World of Warcraft and its overarching story, it's not going to be until like a year from now until we can really pass judgment. So let me break out of that rut of negativity and give you my third, I think it's my third and final general tip for surviving a WoW expansion launch. And that's to be comfortable and yet stay awake. When I mean be comfortable, I mean, dress comfortably, dress cleanly, make sure that all your laundry's done because you're probably not going to do your laundry for like a good long time. Make sure you shower beforehand and be prepared to change your clothes a number of times to maintain that comfort level, even if you don't want to shower.
Ew.
And I have 2 tips for staying awake. One is coffee. Hella coffee. If you don't drink coffee, start. Okay, I'm kidding about the coffee part, but if you are a big coffee person, load up. More than anything though, at least in my opinion, the best way to keep yourself awake in this kind of situation is to stay engaged. It sounds kind of weird because, hey, you're playing a video game, duh, you're engaged. But at the same time, you're kind of not. You're just kind of going through the motions, going from quest to quest, killing mob after mob, pulling this room and then that room. What I mean by being engaged is mostly to not be alone. Using myself as an example, I'm going to be streaming this and talking with folks on chat, as well as my community. I'm going to be in chat with my guild, talking with them over voice. My super awesome darling wife will be giving me words of encouragement, that sort of thing. So don't feel alone. I'm going to make the argument that listening to your favorite streamer is going to be much more engaging and will keep you awake better than listening to like loud music that eventually you're going to tune out. Keeping your ear open for them will let you listen to, not so typical talk, and at the same time, it lets you compete with them. Are you going to level faster than that horde cuck? I hope so. And the last tip for that whole staying awake thing, if you're having trouble staying awake, give up. Sometimes in the face of pride or hunger or exhaustion, you should just listen to your body. It won't surprise me one bit if I'm only able to get like so far into this and then pass the heck out in my chair in front of you guys live. Yeah, just wait for that. Keep it fun for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself out before you know it. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to be the longest weekly that I've ever done. And if you've gotten even this far, wow, I'm surprised. Or if you click the shortcut to get here, you're a damn cheater. But let's move on to the last major thing that happened this week, the freaking battle for Lordaeron, the thing behind me. Duh. After taking a look at this, I gotta say that the Alliance's first major offensive ever since Anduin Wrynn became king was not a very good one. In fact, this sounds kind of weird, but Anduin's kind of like me. He ran this thing like a POW raid.
Okay, so
Yeah.
left or right?
What? He runs to the front with again, so like both the two major leaders of the Alliance offensive that are there jump on top of an unidentified tank and just start whacking at it. When Sylvanas throws down the Blight, which I should remind you is probably inspired by the Kaldorei death wall that Malfurion Stormrage put up, only it's a lot more ghetto. Anduin has no solution for this. They turn tail, they run, and they're about to get cornered. When all of a sudden Tide Sage Jaina Proudmoore shows up to save the day, dispelling the Blight with just a single spell, and doing what the Vindicaar should have done, breaking into the Undercity with a single shot. Where is the Vindicaar, by the way? Nowhere important. Then the Alliance run through a very narrow part of the courtyard only to be kind of cornered. Before them is a much smaller patch of Blight that for whatever reason now I guess Jaina can't dispel that. I actually thought that Jaina had her hair braided up because she was hiding some sort of crazy Super Saiyan hair kind of thing, but if she can't take care of this plague stuff, I guess she ran out of gas. But then, just like Jaina, Alleria Windrunner shows up like a very convenient solution to an otherwise unsolvable problem. I wonder what that term refers to. But they managed to chase Sylvanas down only to effectively accomplish nothing. Jaina gets top score, Sylvanas gets away, the Vindicaar still doesn't show up to shoot the horde out of the sky, and well, I guess when it sums up to it, this is another victory for Sylvanas. I mean, really, she's been pretty effective. She destroyed not just one, but two capital cities. And the battle for Azeroth doesn't start for a couple days. The way I see it these days, Alliance wins are miraculous. It just so happens that Saurfang, after throwing an axe in Malfurion's back, has a change of heart and decides to not finish him off. In the face of bad planning and part of the Alliance, Jaina saves the day. In the face of more bad planning, Alleria comes in to save the day again. I mean, you can say that Alleria and Mekatork showing up was planned, but what if Jaina didn't show up and otherwise dispel the Blight and take down the walls? That means Alleria and Mekatork would have teleported into the Undercity, totally cut off from their allies. Anyway, thanks to the Alliance falling into Sylvanas' trap once again as she stalled for time, Jaina had to once again teleport them out onto her flying boat, basically saving them twice. So this whole sequence was just a series of Sylvanas would have won the battle if it wasn't for, and then, think of something. Because remember, this Alliance offensive was something Sylvanas entirely predicted. So I'm sorry, Alliance fans, but time after time, Sylvanas has been one step ahead of the game. This is a double-edged sword though. It also means that Sylvanas' setbacks are also her fault, as in, she caused the battle for Lordaeron to happen in the first place. So wow, this was a really long weekly. But hey, there was a lot that went on, and this is it! BFA is next week.
Hell, it's about time.
Oh yeah, I am stoked. Oh, and one more tip. One of the first things that you'll be doing in the Battle for Azeroth expansion is to fetch your Heart of Azeroth. In order to get that, you'll be traveling all the way over to Silithus. You'll talk with Magni, you'll get into a teleporter, into this heart chamber. Well, you do stuff and then you get a neck, okay? The tip that I have is that I would suggest, or I would consider, turning war mode off during that time. chances are extremely good that there's going to be a lot of fighting in that small area, and there's a pretty good chance that you're gonna get your butt camped for a little while, just trying to get into that place. So that is finally it. Let me wrap this up really quick and remind all of you folks that you're awesome. You guys are so awesome for having supported the channel up to this point, and I can't wait to see you folks on the front lines. Of course, please follow me on social media so you know when I'm streaming. Follow me over on Twitch, especially on Monday, because I'm going to be streaming this whole shebang, or at least as far as I can get. Leave a comment below with your thoughts and let me know, are you hyped? Are you feeling it? This is it! Or it's not. It's just, you know, just another Manic Monday, right? So we'll see you next week at the Battle for Azeroth for more violence and shenanigans. But until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.